Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT math problems out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 832. Please turn to it, page 832, and today is our lesson number 107. Listen, before I begin these questions number 7 and 8, I just want to make a quick comment about what happened yesterday. Yesterday, as we were doing the problem, I broke into a sermon about something, and at that point I made a comment that I can't help it. Breaking into sermon is what I do. That is my forte, I said. And then later on I said that I was going to go on and explain these. We will learn this word later on in the video, but I never did. I forgot. So here's the word, forte. And the antonym of forte is foible. A forte is somebody's strong point, somebody's strong suit. It is something what they're good at. And foible is their weakness. Forte and foible. We learned these words. For those of you who have been watching my vocabulary videos, you would know that we learned these words on day number 48. Just type in vocabulary, day 48, and you will find these words along with some other useful and good words to know in order to get a better score in the reading part of the exam. You understand? Here's a picture that is given to us in number 7. We are told that AE and CE are perpendicular to AE and CD. AE and CD are perpendicular to CE. And how do we know they are perpendicular? Because they tell you here, this is a 90 degree and this is a 90 degree. That is given to us. If x equals y, well, that's a useful information. X equals y. If x equals y, then this side is equal to this side. In other words, triangle ABE is an isosceles triangle because angle x equals angle y, which implies that AE equals BE. That's a very useful information. The length of AB is 4. Oh, alright, and length of AB is 4. And the length of BD is 8. B to D is 8. What are they asking for? What is the length of CE? Alright, what's the length of CE? Let's find out. In order for us to find the CE, in order for us to find the length of CE, we have to first realize that length of C to E is made up of the segment from B to C plus B to E. B to E. So let's look at triangle. Let's look at triangle ABE first. In ABE, let's call this side A. If B to E is A, then A to E will also be A because they are equal to each other. Because it's an isosceles triangle, because these two angles we are told are equal, x and y are equal. So it's a right angle triangle. A simple application of Pythagorean theorem would do the job. So A squared plus A squared would equal the square of the hypotenuse, which we are told is 4. Which means 2a squared equals 16, which means a squared equals 8, and a equals root of 8. This is a very classical way of doing this thing. This is a very academic way of doing this thing, very algebraic way of doing this thing. A quick and dirty way, if you're running out of time in the exam, or if you don't know what to do here, or either way, in either case, if you don't know what to do here, or if you're running out of time, the clock is ticking, you don't want to spend too much time on it, it's a hard problem, you want to move on to the... Because you see, after you finish number 7 and 8, starting with number 9 are the easy gradient questions waiting for you to pick. So don't spend too much time trying to pick the apples from the higher branches of this tree. There are plenty of apples sitting in the lower branches of the next tree, which is the gradient tree. This is a multiple choice tree. In the multiple choice tree, they go up to level 8. And then as soon as you move on to level number 9, they start again with the easy questions. So perhaps you don't want to spend too much time on number 8 and number 7 and 8. Perhaps you want to move on with your life so that you can start doing the easy and the medium gradient questions. Well, if that's what's going on, if you're trying to save some time, then once in a while, you just have to make a guess. Now when I say make a guess, I'm not talking about making a guess like a wild monkey. I'm talking about intelligent guess. Here, this is what you would do if you wanted to simply make an intelligent guess and move on. You see, this is 4. A to B is 4, which is the hypotenuse, which means B to E, we do not know what it is, but whatever the hell it is, it's got to be less than 4. It has to be less than 4. It has to be less than 4, and this is how we write it, 4 with a minus sign on it. Similarly, we are told that B to D is 8. So in the triangle BCD, if B to D is 8, which is the hypotenuse, then C to B, whatever it is going to be less than 8. Which means the distance from C to E must be less than 12. Let's see what we can do here. We're just going to keep this aside for the time being. This is the proper work, as I said. Since we finished it, I don't want to have to redo it. Let's put it aside. A equals root of 8. So now we are doing the non-traditional way first. I changed my mind. We want to do the non-traditional way first. Let's see what we can cross out if we were in a hurry or if we did not know how to solve it. A, B, C, D, and E. So now we know that C to E has to be less than 12 because B to E is something less than 4 and C to B is something less than 8. So any answer choice that is that is more than 12 is no good. We can cross out E. E says 16. We can cross out D. D says 14. D and E are gone, and I'm also going to cross out A. I don't like A. I don't like A. I doubt very much if the entire distance from C to E is going to be just 4 1/4. No, my gut feeling tells me it's got to be around 10 or something. It's less than 12. It's less than 12. Let's do it out. But it's very difficult to say whether it's going to be 4.4, whether it's going to be 8.5 or 11.3. You can't really tell. So here is what you have gone as far as you could have gone in terms of making an intelligent guess. Now you're down to 50-50. At this point, you simply have to flip a coin and move on with your life. So in a situation like this, you're not going to be right half the time, you're not going to be right all the time, which is why it's called 50-50. You're only going to be right half the time. But getting half of these hard questions right is far better than simply skipping them or simply picking one answer at random. Or even worse, getting it wrong. In which case, instead of gaining points, every time you make a mistake, they penalize you 1/4 of a point. Do you understand? So if you do 50-50, narrow it down to 50-50, that's okay, that's fine. Do you understand? So the answer is either B or C. We already know it. So now we're going to finish up. Same exact process will apply that applied to a triangle ABE. The same exact process will apply to the next triangle. Now let's look at triangle BCD. BCD. In triangle BCD, we know that B to D is 8, which is our hypotenuse. Let's call this thing, we call this guy A, let's call this guy B. So here we have B squared plus B squared equals 8 squared, 2B squared equals 64, and therefore B squared equals 32, and therefore B will equal root 32. Therefore, B will equal root 32. So what do we do next? Well, let's find out. The square root of 8, what is the square root of 8? If you were to come to me and ask me what is the square root of 8, I would be able to give you an answer right away. My answer would be, how the hell do I know? Whatever the hell it is less than 3. That I do know. Because square root of 9 is 3. Therefore, square root of 8, whatever the hell it is less than 3. Similarly, if you were to ask me what is square root of 32, I don't know. But it's something less than 6. It's something less than 6 because square root of 36 is 6. So the correct answer is something less than 3 plus something less than 9. So the answer has to be something less than 3 plus something less than 6. Therefore, correct answer, whatever it is got to be something less than 9. Something less than 9, that tells me that we just ruled out C. We just ruled out C. C is gone. C says 11. 11.3. The answer is B. The answer is B. It's something less than 9. Oh, I thought we were done. I was about to put my cap and I was about to close the video. Let's go to number 8. I've been taking so long with this problem that I forgot. Let's do number 8, okay? We're done with this one. I'll give you a few seconds in case you want to pause the video. We still have one more to go, number 8, which is also a hard question. Because it's one of the last, not one of the last, it is the last multiple choice questions. It is the very last is what I meant to say. Number 8. Price of ground beans, price of ground coffee bean is $D for 8 ounces. $D for 8 ounces. Each ounce makes C cups. Each ounce makes C cups. In terms of C and D, what is the dollar cost of the ground coffee bean required to make 1 cup of brewed coffee? What the hell? The price of ground beef, where does beef come from? The price of ground coffee beans is $D for 8 ounces. Alright. And each ounce makes C cups of brewed coffee. Alright. And the question is, what's the cost of the ground coffee that is required to make 1 cup of coffee? Alright. As you can see, this is an algebra problem. And as I always remind you when we get to the algebra problem in the exam, that there are 2 ways of dealing with the algebra problem in the exam. One way is to not do the algebra. That's one way. Or the second way is to do it with the algebra, which is the classical way, the traditional way, the orthodox way, the conventional way, the geeky way, the nerdy way, the algebraic way, the mathematical way, the proper way, the way your math teacher will expect you to do it. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to do it the non-classical way without the algebra, by plugging in numbers. Let's plug in numbers. Now when you plug in numbers, in theory, any number that you plug in here would work. For example, we could plug in here $334 for 8 ounces, but there will be a pure nuisance. Plug in something that's a nice multiple of 18 and keep your numbers as small as possible, but at the same time, do not plug in. I'm going to repeat one more time. No, I'm not going to repeat one more time because I'm going to repeat. That's it. Because if I were about to repeat one more time, I would have been saying it for the 3rd time. I'm about to say it the 2nd time. I'll repeat. Do not plug in any numbers for do not plug in any values for the variable that will generate a value of 1. For example, don't plug in 8 here. $8 for 8 ounces will give you $1 per ounce. That is not a nice number to use in the exam because 1 doesn't do anything. It doesn't evolve. So if an answer choice is 1 squared, you cannot tell. If A equals 1, you can't tell the difference between B divided by A and C divided by A, and it could be anything because it's just 1. Or you can't tell the difference between A and A squared. 1 is a very dangerous number to mess with. Make sure you avoid 1. Okay? Do not plug in 1. Do not plug in any numbers that appears in the question. Do not plug in any number that appears in the answer choices. And do not plug in the same value for 2 different variables. In other words, each variable must have a unique value. So let's plug in 16. Let's plug in 16. So I have $16 for 8 ounces. That tells us that we are making $2. We are paying $2 per ounce. $2 per ounce. How many cups do you want to make? Each cup makes each ounce makes a C cup. Let's plug in 2 for C. Is that a good number to plug in? The answer is no, because I just got done telling you, don't plug in that's going to make anything into a 1. Because you see, if it's $2 per ounce and each ounce makes 2 cups, then the price would end up being $1 per cup. I don't like that. I don't like that. 2 is a dangerous number to plug in. 2 is a dangerous number to plug in. Don't make it 1. Plug in 4. So, if you're paying $2 per ounce and each ounce makes 4 cups, $2 per ounce and each ounce makes 4 cups, which means each cup costs 50 cents. And since we're dealing with in dollar, we're looking for $1.50. The answer is $1.50. Answer is $1.50. This is what we call our punchline. This is our answer, our punchline. Now all we have to do is go through the answer choices, and wherever we see C, wherever we see C, we're going to replace it with 4. Wherever we see D, we're going to replace it with 16 until we get an answer choice that gives our punchline, which is half. Let's do it, shall we? Answer choice A says D over 8 times C. D is 16 over 8 times C, which is 4. 16 divided by 8 times 4, 16 is going to go into 8 2 times, and 2 divided by 4, there you go, that's your half, right? Voila. The answer is A. We got lucky. We got lucky here. Had the answer been E, we would have to try out all of them, obviously. The answer is A. Now what I'm going to do at this point, and of course you can try out all the other answer choices, and you will see that none of the other answer choices will give us our punchline, which is half. What I'm going to do at this point is to make you understand how dangerous it is to plug in 2 here. To make you understand how dangerous it is to plug in 2 here, I am going to actually plug in 2. And let's see what happens. Now watch what happens. You might think that you're making your work easy, but don't mess with 1. So now, okay, we're going to start our work again. So here's what's going on. So we have $16. We have $16. We haven't changed that. We have $16 for 8 ounces, which means each ounce costs $2. $2 right here. That part has not changed. Each ounce costs $2. That's right. Each ounce costs $2. And now we're pretending that each ounce makes 2 cups. Well, if each ounce makes 2 cups, that gives us $1 for a cup. $1 for a cup. Let's see what happens now. Let's see what happens now. Okay, watch what happens. Answer choice A says D over 8C. D is 16 over 8 times C, which is 2, and 16 over 16 is 1. So that is, of course, works. But what if answer choice C, 8C over D, which is a reciprocal, which is 8 times 2 over 16. What would have happened? Here we would have gotten lucky, and we know A works, and maybe you stopped and you got lucky there. But what would have happened if these quantities that we see here in A and C were reversed? If they had given this as C and this as A, and this one gives us 1, you might have thought that this is the answer choice. This is the correct answer. In fact, the correct answer is this guy. You cannot tell between D divided by 8C and 8C divided by D because of the fact that the numerator and denominator are equal to each other. If the numerators and denominators are equal to each other, if you plug in values of x and y in such a way, which is why I said don't plug in the same value for x and y, don't plug in the same value for any 2 variable, because you can't tell the difference between x and y. If x equals 5 and y equals 5, if you plug in 5 for x and 5 for y, you cannot tell the difference between x divided by y versus y divided by x. They're both 1. So one more time, I'm going to say it one more time for the very last time. When you're plugging in values, when you're using plugging in technique, the key thing to keep in mind is that, first of all, each variable must have a unique value. Do not plug in 0, do not plug in 1, and do not plug in the values of the variable in such a way that makes any quantity in the problem equals to 1. Like here, we're looking for the price per cup. Don't do it in such a way that the price cup, 1 cup's worth turns out to be 1. And if it does, change your numbers. Do you understand? That's it. I'm done with this thing. I will see you tomorrow when we'll start the grading problem. Okay? Bye now.